everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I know for some people it's your first night at Helicon West, and if that's the case, you're probably not as confused who I am, but if this is your first time, and even if not, my name is Kate Hunter. I'm your MC this evening. I am the Director of Education at Stokes Nature Center. I have some events back there at Stokes Nature Center that are coming up. Tonight is part of an Emotions of Nature series we've been doing since March, where every month, on Thursday, there's an emotion, and tonight is all about hope. And I thought it would be cool to do that with Helicon West and have some time to do free writing and hear what people have to say about hope. That being said, I'm going to kind of wear two hats. So I'm going to wear my Stokes hat right now, and then I'm going to get into the Helicon West hat. So my Stokes hat, I'm going to go through some of our programs, which we have program sheets back there, but there's some really cool things coming up. So we have Book Fest events. Our next event with that is called Fear in Nature, and that's happening at the library as well. That's October 3rd, and that's with a local folklorist who's going to talk about spooky, scary stories in Logan and how that interplays with our fears. On October 5th at Stokes Nature Center, there's an Art for All event, which will involve cyanotyping with Logan River water out there and making some puppets that represent Logan River. It'll be really cool. And then that night, October 5th, from 6 p.m. to 7:30, we're celebrating the publishing of a book of poetry called Irreplaceable. There are lots of local readers that are going to be coming to that. We also currently have a mindfulness series happening every Friday from 4:30 to 5:30. And the one coming up tomorrow is all about the body. Let's see, October 12th, we're doing a Canon Conversations with nature journaling, so you can learn how to kind of describe and write about nature. November 2nd is our big fundraiser. It's called Light Up the Night. And I'll pause there for those. We have lots of things coming up. Okay, now I'm going to put on my Helicon West hat. First of all, thank you so much for being here. It's pretty cool that this venue exists. Also, Helicon West is an uncensored public reading series. We regularly host published authors alongside community writers to promote and support all levels of skill, ability, and craft. If you would like to read during the open mic session, you can sign up at the sheet near the coffee service in the back. If you would like to donate to keep Helicon West going, we have bookmarks on the coffee table with a QR code link as well. We acknowledge that Helicon West operates on the territory of the Northwestern Band of the Shoshone Nation. Our events are made possible with the support from Sugar House Review, the Logan Library, USU English Department, and community volunteers. The Emotions of Nature series that I'm here with Stokes for is made possible through funds from Utah Humanities. We have a couple of requests in our new home library. First, during our event, please shut the doors behind you when you're entering or leaving the room. Second, if you partake of the coffee, please use a lid and keep the cup in your hand to minimize the likelihood of a spill. Consider bringing your own reusable drink container with a screw-on lid, which can be good for the library and good for the planet. So I, as the Stokes hat, have kind of messed with the program tonight, so I'm going to run through it. Thank you. I'm going to read an opening piece for myself about hope in nature. Then we actually have some free write time that I'm going to have space for. So we have clipboards and paper, and my hope is 5 to 10 minutes where you can write about hope. Then we'll have open mic time after that, starting at about 7:30. And I'll have a closing script to go through. Okay, any questions? Okay, that's my teacher hat. I want to read first, this is my own writing. I'm going to start with the Barlow and I'll get to some other authors that are from online. This is about, I think, a lot of us went through many different shifts during COVID. For me, I'm a PhD student in addition to this director of education job. During COVID, I was in Panama doing field work, which is great, but as we all know, the world kind of closed down, so this is about what that felt like, and the hope that kind of came out of it. My home, 4 months out of the year, was closing its doors on me and all the visiting scientists due to the oncoming pandemic. Field seasons always have their unknown unknowns, but this felt extra unknown-y. My last morning in Panama, I was running through a tropical forest, trying to salvage any data. The next morning, I was sleeping on the linoleum floor of an airport in Florida. I made it home safe, but without any plan as to what was next. I felt lost while feelings of grief, guilt, and gratitude crushed over me in waves. I spent days going from avoiding these emotions to completely fixating on them, to trying to let them wash over me. Sometimes, though rarely, these emotional waves would come with droplets of inspiration. On one such day in late March, with the help of my advisor, I got to using my new free schedule to design a project studying the bees right in Logan. I spent my unexpectedly free spring and summer catching all kinds of Anthophila in my lab mate's backyards, at the local organic farm, even out at right-hand work. Experiences like this are what brought me to research in the first place, and while the rest of the world felt on fire, this return to my roots was a salve. Catching bees while picking up my produce at the organic farm isn't what I pictured my PhD to be, but I'm trying to ride the wave. Now we're going to get to the good stuff. I have a poem that you probably already know about from Mary Oliver, and it's called Heavy. This is also beautifully about hope. That time, I thought I could not go any closer to grief without dying. I went closer, and it did not die. Surely God had his hand in this, as well as friends. Still, I was bent, and the laughter at the poet said, as the poet said, was nowhere to be found. Then said my friend Daniel, brave even among the lions, it's not the weight you carry, but how you carry it. Books, brooks, grief, it's all in the way you embrace it, balance it, carry it. And you cannot and would not put it down, so I went practicing. Have you noticed? Have you heard the laughter that comes now and again out of my startled mouth? How I linger to admire the things of this world that are kind, and maybe also troubled. Roses in the wind, the sea geese on the steep waves, a love to which there is no reply. I feel like there's another part of it that I copy and paste. Oh no! Okay, in place, I'm gonna read one more. Okay, this is by Rosemary Rotala-Trauner, and Star sent this to me, so this is a little not to her, but she's off. Like a stupid weed, like a persistent, stubborn, unrelenting weed grown from a seed no one planted. It thrives now in the rubble of my heart, this unasked for, perfect, spreading hope. Thanks. Okay, so like I said, now we're going to move on to open writing time. It's about 7:09, so I'm going to give us till 7:20, and you can write anything you're thinking about. I hope it relates to hope, but if that's not what you're called to, no worries. We have paper, clipboards, pencils up here, pens, and I'll call us back when it's time to get to open writing time. Thanks.
I just got.
Okay, and the last thing, I'm going to play some nature sounds from a boreal forest.
I bet you there's going to be a chainsaw in there. I know they're going to be a chainsaw.
No, I'm currently in a program where I'm trying to get my high school diploma.
I was given
door while submerged underwater. A fatal construction flaw in all recent automobiles makes it virtually impossible to escape the car.
Yeah. So relaxed. Yeah. got this type of paper, it's a sticker. I didn't know that as we got in these, but that's kind of fun. You can put it wherever you want. That being said, we're gonna move into the open mic part. So I have 3 people up here, and if you want to read either what you just wrote about or anything else, I'm gonna leave this sign up over here. But in order, our next 3 open mic readers are Asher Blakely, Bill, and then Asher Schroeder. So Asher, you can come up here. Or Asher Blakely, you can come up here.
Alright, so I figure I will read the thing I just wrote for the generative portion because Star used to be her walkabouts where we generated in chair. Sean still facilitates that with his Savvy office, and it's just, I don't know, it feels good to share infant writing and so that everyone knows that it doesn't all start out good. And this doesn't have a title because nothing I write ever starts with one, but this is my attempt to write about hope. Also, it's my mother's birthday, so that kind of plays into it. Last night I dreamed my child died. I woke the feeling of loss heavy in my chest, like some vital section of my being had ceased to function with their loss. How beautiful it was to have the ability to call out as they readied themselves for school, to say, I dreamed you were gone and awoke missing you, may I have a hug? For my normally touch-resistant child's face to crumple in sympathetic pain as they reached to embrace me, tell me my brain is trifling in addition to being an asshole. Yet I am left wondering what my own mother feels at the loss of myself from her life, to know I am not deceased, but have willfully distanced us from my own peace and protection. And then I have a selection of older things written about my mother because it is my mother's birthday and it felt appropriate to talk about her. My mother went missing, and it took 2 weeks for the police to connect her missing person report to the bridge jumper down in Dayton. Doctors had put her in a medically induced coma, but no one ever explained why exactly. Not to me. I was 13 and deemed too young to understand what was going on, even though I too had hungered for that kiss to come calling. As a child, I hated her for choosing the cold embrace of the Miami River over her own children, over me, a pattern she would repeat time and again, a track woven into the core of my being. Your mother is selfish and unreliable. She cares more about the manic hallucinations in her mind than she does about the daughter who needs her guidance. Now, having cut ties with my mother completely for the first time, I wonder if she didn't have it right. An uncomplicated end to everyone's suffering, one where her children weren't likely to stumble accidentally on her unwaking body, so much cleaner than my own ideations, where I swallow each bitter pill until I fall finally into uncomplicated nothing. Salt and vinegar. 3 days my mother drove, money trickling away like river water, fuel, sandwiches, sodas, cheap candy. We roamed the city without place, one woman with 3 children, sardines in the back seat of her sedan. My strongest sense memory is 11 years old, sun beating hot through the open windows. The pop is the bag yawned open, a sour, sick smell curling in my nostrils, the crisp crunch and the way it melted slowly in my unbelieving mouth. Taste bitter like communion wine, the way my mouth bloomed sharp with acid and burning salt. I ate the whole bag. And this last one is called Sacrifice. My grandmother died in the same room her mother died in, the same room one day my mother will likely die in. The far back bedroom of the house at the bend in the road, the smallest room, with the matched high-boy vanity and queen-size bed. Her books lining the shelves mounted to the wall, biographies and Bible studies. Beloved like the carved jewelry boxes carefully filled with her mother's cameo, her grandmother's gold-chained pocket watch. I wonder if my mother has packed away the remnants of her mother's life, or just carefully filled in the blank spaces with her own treasures. The carved ivory bear my stepfather once wore around his neck, the dream catcher wolf howling at its center, the cardboard box with her silver and pearl Kokopelli bracelet, and the sapphire wedding set. In another life, I too lived trapped in that house, my own treasures displayed haphazard between the remnants of another person's life. My letters pinned to the wall, theater, orchestra, choir, marching band. My books beside my radio on the floor, CDs and cassettes tucked away out of sight in the closet. I escaped, made a life for myself and my family far away from their grabby fingers that only value me for the things they can take. Yet I know the day will come when my mother's fragile health finally fails, when I, as the only female-born child, will be called to return to that place so that I may be the one to nurse her out of this mortal skin, teaching the next generation all the ways our lives belong not to ourselves, but to the ones who shaped us into who we have become.
So much. That was great. Our next speaker is Bill.
I'm number 3, not number
There's no one on number
2. I knew it was a trick. Okay, I don't do microphones, especially ones with feedback. Full disclosure here. Once at Stokes Nature Center, I was told, Bill, you're too popular. You can't teach the kids. See, as soon as the kids found out that the coffee emergency guy was there, they all wanted to come to my table and learn about bugs and the little crawly creatures. And apparently this makes parents sad. These things happen to me all the time. Today was a typical day for me. Woke up at 6 o'clock to go to the doctor at 10 o'clock. Trauma, drama, catastrophe, disaster. The long-time receptionist is no longer there. I hate breaking in new people. Well, that went pretty well. The doctor said, take this, take that. It might be your appendix. If the pain gets really bad, go to the emergency room. At least he didn't say chew aspirin. Then I went home. Now I live in a very interesting neighborhood. Half the residents have nice ankle bracelets provided by the state. It's interesting. But fortunately today, there was no drama about that, except for, and some of you parents who know me, who have kids, will understand this. For some reason, the little kids go, Mom, scary guy, and they run off. But I'm used to it. It's a burden I have to bear. It's because I don't smile or something. I don't know. Then my cousin called. He wants to go to the farm to feed the fish. Oh no. What's going on this time? Because feed the fish can mean feed the fish, or feed the fish can mean we gotta talk about some family problem, because unlike the cousin, hey Bill, Uncle so-and-so died. Will you call the rest of the relatives? Wait a minute, it's your brother, can't you? Wait, what's good? Well, Bill will use this. Okay, so I call everybody. Or, hey, Bill, one cousin tried to choke another cousin, and she was in this and that, and can you do what you can do to try to bring peace? The answer to that one should always be no. If you ever have that situation, it is always no. Say, no thank you, I've got to go to Cuba, whatever. Do not get involved in that situation. Yeah, just don't do that. So, we went to feed the fish. It was very successful. The fish apparently like the new floating fish food. You'll be happy to know, there's no new calves in the pasture, because my cousin, he has some mobility problems, and if there's a new calf, I'd have to catch that too. And those newborn calves, especially those male ones, they know what's up. And all I'm gonna say is my cousin needs to get a more modern elasticator. Because when that calf's falling and you're trying to put that thing on that wiggly little thing, if I can catch him anymore, if they get 5 steps on me nowadays, I can't catch them. And that 1,700-pound Simmental cow has got blood in her eye, and your ass is the target. Not a good situation. So I'm always happy when there is no cows. But you'll be happy to know I have gotten smarter. We have both gotten smarter. We went out there not too long ago and we counted the cows, and half of them are missing. Should we go look for them? No. I'm going to call my son. So then we went for a ride up to Porcupine. I'm happy to tell you, Porcupine Reservoir is low, but everything looks well. There was no rattlesnakes on the road, which is really good. This happens to be the cousin that tried to kill me 3 times on one hunting trip, because I know if there's a rattlesnake on the middle of the road, he was gonna go, could you get out and move it?
Thank you so much. Our next to meet are Asher Schrader, Jan Branston, and Melody. So let's welcome Ash Schroeder up here.
Hello, my name is Asher Schroeder. I am a sophomore at Utah State University. This is the first draft of the first chapter of my upcoming novel project, Lone Wolf. It has not been revised. So, it's a bit lengthy, so I will try to keep time in mind. I have a timer on my phone, don't worry. Just give me 1 second to... 7 minutes? Chapter 1. If there were any constants to the life of Alexander Kelly, the first was that it rarely stopped raining. The sound of yet another storm rolling through the inlet hammered against his roof, pulling his tired eyes open. The morning rain was nothing like the soft, pleasant taps that had sent him off to sleep. It had grown angry in the night, now seemingly determined to wash him away. A quick peek through the window confirmed that today would be miserable. He rolled over, letting a muffled groan die against his pillow. It wasn't that he had anything against the rain itself, but on days like this, where it seemed God was ready to strike Portales off the map, he questioned whether getting out of bed was worth the trouble. The shrill beep of his alarm shot through his internal debate. 12 noon, time to get up. After a final sigh of defeat, he rolled out of bed and began the routine he performed every weekday. Sidestepping the piles of laundry littering his floor, he walked to the bathroom, Turning on the lights blinded him, his face scrunching up in pain at the sudden change. He flicked them off, blinking until the green blobs in his vision disappeared. He then disrobed and tied up his hair, feeling his way into the tub. The walls hissed as the shower had jolted to life, a stream of cold water shocking his senses. He had finished before it had any time to warm up. It wouldn't make sense to wash his hair when the rain would have it frizzed within minutes. His gaze was absent as he dried off in the dark, trying to prepare himself for another day of nothing worthwhile as he pulled on his uniform. "Morning, Mom," Alex mumbled. His mother's headset blocked out his voice as she stared at her laptop, bobbing her head up and down. She had worked from home ever since Scotiabank had closed their Port Alice branch a few years back. The ticking of her laptop's keyboard nearly always filled their humble living room. Pulling open the fridge, Alex scoured the shelves for something worth eating. It was difficult to choose between near-empty shelves. He settled on a tub of half-wilted Caesar salad. Making his way to the door, he slid his lunch into his bag as he kicked on his shoes. After pulling his jacket on and securing his headphones, he pulled out his umbrella, opened the door, and stepped out into the rain. Little streams of water ran down the roofs of the trailer park, spilling onto the sides of the road. Alex walked along them as they pooled together, forming a miniature river that barreled down the hill, the water vying to return to the ocean. After following the twists and turns of the trailer park's roads, the two parted ways at a T-section. Alex watched as the water returned to the waves of the inlet, flowing out toward the bay, hidden somewhere off in the distance. It was all bound to return to the Pacific, where the cycle would begin again. Turning right onto Marine Drive, he left the little stream behind as he made his way into town. His first stop was Mick Wilkie's, the little food truck where he'd gotten his first job. Oddly enough, the trailer was missing. The only trace of it was fresh tire marks spilling onto the road. As he continued into the village, he noticed that everything seemed a little slower than usual. On a normal Saturday afternoon, there'd at least be a few people around, maybe getting coffee with some friends or fishing at the marina. But nearly all the shops were devoid of customers, save for Miss Sandra browsing the aisles of the family foods. BC Liquor's lights were off as he walked up to the door. Pausing his music, he peered through the window. The shelves were full, the aisles empty. He tried the door, but it was locked. A wet paper notice had been taped to the front, slowly staining the ink. To our loyal customers, BC Liquor Port Alice will be closed on Saturday, the 24th of August, due to the North Island Music Festival. We will reopen on Tuesday, the 27th of August at 10:30 a.m. Good luck to the Rumble Beach Rebels. Management. Alex's eyes hardened as he whipped out his phone. Frustration welled inside him as he scanned through the store's group chat, not finding any mention of the closure. His co-workers' Instagrams revealed that they had all skipped town to attend. Typical. Shoving his phone into his pocket, he started toward home. He switched the music to his drums and bass playlist, turning up the volume in an attempt to blast out the emotions that had begun to eat away at him. Once again, no one had bothered to invite him. It had been like this in primary school, when he'd sat alone at the far end of the cafeteria, middle school, where he'd always been the last pick for dodgeball, high school, where almost none of the kids at North Island had known his name until he walked the stage at graduation. He carried on, stepping through the tire treads in the little stream of water as he decided to walk past his neighborhood. Going home would raise all sorts of questions from his mom, so, after letting a car pass, he veered onto the thin stretch of sidewalk that his village generously called a seawalk. The car from earlier passed by him again, this time heading north toward the town. He caught a flash of the driver, who appeared to be scanning the sidewalks for something. He was probably a tourist who had missed the town by accident. As Port Alice faded away behind him, the rain began to let up. The clouds paled, their thinnest layers breaking open and letting a little more light spill through to the surface. Anyone else might have commented on how the light on the pristine water helped to mirror the peaks of their little valley so perfectly. To Alex, it only served as a reminder that nothing ever changed here. He had lived in Port Alice for 19 years, nearly 2 decades confined in a town of less than 1,000. Born in Port McNeil, his father's job at the lumber mill had soon tucked him away from the world, and his family's rocky finances had ensured that he never ventured further than his grandmother's house in Courtenay. Sometimes, late at night, he would venture out to the far side of the water, staring back at the lights tucked into the hillside. If he lined them up just right, he could pretend that they were the skyscrapers in the core of the city. He could imagine he lived somewhere large and important, somewhere far away from all that he'd ever known. His thoughts continued to wander as he came to the end of the trail. He'd been walking for nearly half an hour when cement gave way to gravel, the sidewalk opening up into a small clearing. Alex took a seat at one of the picnic tables, removing his headphones and resting his chin on his hands as he faced the waterfront. He caught sight of an otter swimming in the distance. He was trying to crack open a mussel, chipping away at its outer shell with its teeth. After several failed attempts, it came up with another strategy, paddling over to the shore. Upon reaching a sizable rock, the otter began hammering its quarry against the stone until it gave way. Satisfied, it returned to the water, already feasting on its lunch. Alex slumped. Unlike him, the otter was free to move as it pleased. It chittered, discarding the empty husk of a mussel and paddling out into the water. It swam northwest, away from the town and its people, a few dozen kilometers, and it would reach the ocean. If only leaving were that easy. His attention was pulled by the sound of a car slowing down. Turning to face the road, he watched as a powder blue Honda pulled into the small gravel lot. His heart rate picked up. It was the same car that had passed him twice. He quickly slid off the bench, grabbing his phone as the car came to a stop, the driver's face hidden by the glare on the windshield. The engine stalled. Alex's pulse raced through his head, his body preparing to run or to fight. Adrenaline seeped into his limbs as the driver door opened, two heeled black boots stepping out into the gravel. He froze when her face came into view. Jules?
My goal is actually to publish next time. Firstly, thank you for sharing. That was enjoyable. And I too got the titles. So I'm just going to read what I wrote. Hope, like a rope, is a tenuous thing. Only through tension in the pulling does the rope make a sling. With hope comes doubt. And they pull you all about, but I know which one is stronger, and I learned it from a sprout. Not all seeds germinate. It's something you hate to see. It's a tough and rough sort of thing to grow, don't you know? Through the soil, roots, and rough, ragged rocks, some do come up straight. A force is proof of this statistically. If a tree can use hope with no phone or to learn from the microscope, there's something they know. There is always hope. I did also write something earlier this month. This one does have the title. Grateful in the rough weather. They say in times of prosperity, friends will be plenty. In times of adversity, not 1 in 20. When the sun shines bright and the days are long, laughter and joy like a sweet endless song. But when the clouds gather and the brewing storm winds blow, true faces emerge and the fair weathers, they go. In the darkest of night, when hope seems lost, you'll find who stands by no matter the cost. For in the trial of life, the truth is revealed. The bonds that are strong and those that are sealed. So cherish, please cherish the few who stay by your side, through thick and thin, the high and the low, in whom you can find. For prosperity's friends may be many and grand, but adversity's allies are the ones who will stand. In the end, at the end, in the true thick of it all, it's the heart that truly sees the value of friends in times just like these. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's welcome Melody.
I'm just reading a really short thing I just read. This ought to be good practice. I got a whole degree in creative writing, and then I've been a nurse and had kids and haven't written very much, so I thought it'd be good to come tonight and try. It's called Floating. Afraid to fly high, afraid to land, go back to work in the dishes. Thank God for moving air. I know I'm gonna keep loving him like the passing time, even when I come back down. Today I carry a rock, and I really am carrying a piece of the ground, and hear the sounds around me, for I'm scarcely more than breath myself.
Beautiful. That's all the speakers that signed up here. If anyone wants to come read, yeah, come on. And introduce yourself, please.
I'm Pam. I wrote about hope. Hope for my future. Hope for climate change and other change. Hope for equality throughout our world. Hope for progress, not at the cost of freedoms and wide open spaces. Hope for peace and justice for our youth and our elderly and all of our world. Hope to see our children's children cherish the land and water and mountains. Hope for all life, human and animal, birds and reptiles. Hope for today, tomorrow, with the rising of the sun and the setting of each moon. Thanks.
Anyone else? Yeah. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Adam. I wrote just a little short thing about hope one year. I actually wrote two things, but I'm going to go with the first one only because that's the one that popped into my head, and I want to give everyone a chance to. Okay.
You've got lots of time. You can read both.
It's okay. Hope is the fresh autumn leaves crackling beneath your feet. Hope is the laughter between childhood friends at a summer sleepover. Hope is the warm embrace from the mother you never had. Hope is the first snow of the winter months. Hope is the feeling of when you let yourself trust again. Hope is the second chance you were never given.
I figured since I'm already standing, I might as well share some things. So one of my favorite poems about hope, it only makes sense because it's based off of another poem, so I'm going to read both. So the first one is from Emily Dixon. It says, it's called Hope is a Thing with Feathers. It says, hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird and keep so many warm, I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of meat. So in response, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but Caitlin Seda, I don't know, says, hope is not a bird, Emily, it's a sewer rat. So this is my favorite poem. It says, hope is not a thing with feathers that comes home to roost when you need it most. Hope is an ugly thing with teeth and claws and patchy fur that has seen some shit. It's what thrives in the discards and survives in the ugliest parts of the world. able to find a way to go on when nothing else can find a way in. It's the gritty, nasty little carrier of such diseases such as optimism, persistence, perseverance, and joy. Transmittable as it drags its tail across your path and bites you in the ass. Hope is not some delicate, beautiful bird, Emily. It's a lowly little sewer rat that snorts pesticides like they were lines of coke and still shows up to work on time the next day, looking no worse for wear. So based off of that, I decided to write my own poem because it's fun. Actually, and I wrote this like kind of a while ago. So I wrote, someone told Emily that hope is an ugly thing that crawls around in gutters, and honestly I have to thank her because the thing I crawled out of couldn't be uglier. Hope didn't have a direction down there, it just scuttled about trying to find a way out. I thought hope was shiny and pretty, but hope is ugly, screams in your pillow. And how could you do this to me, text at midnight? Hope is clawing and kicking and fighting for your life when you feel like it's not worth living. It all makes sense now, hope is an ugly thing. It's the I'll make it out, spoken in a whisper, and the defeated I'm not okay, spoken in a whimper. And the go home, you look tired from your favorite coworker. And that's it.
Anyone else want to share either what they wrote or even anything else? Yeah.
There's just one thing I want to say about hope. It's a rough thing. Sometimes it's hard, but we always get there. I have a therapist. I mean, I've gone through a lot in my life, and I have a therapist. And my therapist, my old therapist, he always told me, hold on, pain ends. So remember that.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, with that, I'll release you, or you can share your poems with others just on your own. Thanks. Actually, I have a closing script. Ah, sorry. Hang on, don't leave. Yeah, thank you. First, I want to say thank you so much to all the open mic readers. Can we give them all a round of applause? Just a reminder, my name is Kate Hunter. I work for Stokes Nature Center. I'm the Director of Education. We have a bunch of events happening. And the next Helicon West featured reader is Shannon Bolam on October 10th. She is the city's poet laureate, and she has a book out called First Poems After the Stroke. And that reading will feature that, yes?
Ballum.
Ballum, oh, yeah. Shannon Ballum. And that is here, or even perhaps in the other room, October 10th at 7 p.m. If you're able, we would love the help with stacking chairs. And that's all that I have for you. Thanks.
Thank you.